What if your mind wasn't your own? What if someone could subtly rewrite your beliefs, your identity, until you're a stranger to yourself? This isn't the plot of a science fiction movie. This is the reality for countless people who fall into the hands of manipulative leaders. It's a process so subtle, so gradual, that the victims often don't even realize it's happening. They believe they're making their own choices, joining a community, finding a purpose. But step by step, their very sense of self is being dismantled and rebuilt in someone else's image. Indoctrination isn't a single, dramatic event. It's a slow erosion of personal autonomy, a quiet reprogramming of the human mind. The process begins not with force, but with a seductive pull, an answer to a deep human need. And by the time the cage door closes, the person inside has often been convinced they built it themselves, that it's a sanctuary, not a prison. Today, we're going to deconstruct this chilling process. We'll look at the specific psychological tactics used by cult leaders to gain control, rewire the brain, and create unwavering devotion. This is the blueprint for how a mind is captured. It all starts with love, or at least what feels like it. The first stage is often called love bombing. Imagine feeling lonely, misunderstood, or adrift. You're searching for connection, for a place to belong. Suddenly, you find a group of people who seem to see you, to truly get you. They shower you with affection, praise, and attention. They tell you you're special, that you have a unique purpose, that you finally found your true family. This isn't just a friendly welcome. It's an overwhelming, intense wave of positive reinforcement. You feel seen, valued, and unconditionally accepted in a way you may never have before. This creates an immediate and powerful bond. Your brain's reward system floods with dopamine. This group, and especially its charismatic leader, becomes associated with this incredible feeling of euphoria and belonging. This isn't accidental. Manipulative leaders are masters at identifying and exploiting this fundamental human need for connection. They know that by creating this intense initial high, they are forging a deep sense of loyalty and dependency. You start to think, these are my people. They understand me like no one else. At the same time, this intense focus on the new group often comes with a subtle or not so subtle distancing from your old life. Your new friends might point out how your family doesn't really understand you, or how your old friends are holding you back. The love from the group feels so good that the connections to your past start to seem less important, even negative by comparison. You're being pulled into a new orbit, and the gravitational pull is so strong that your old world begins to fade. This initial stage isn't about challenging your beliefs. It's about capturing your heart. By fulfilling your deepest emotional needs, the group makes itself indispensable. You're not just joining a group. You feel like you're coming home. And once they have your heart, they have a direct line to your head. With this foundation of emotional dependency firmly in place, the next layer is added, establishing the leader as an infallible, almost divine figure. This person isn't just a guide or a teacher. They are presented as the sole source of truth, wisdom, and salvation. They possess a special knowledge or connection to a higher power that no one else has. Their words are not to be questioned. They are to be accepted as gospel. This charismatic God figure is central to the group's structure. All validation, all meaning, flows from them. They might claim to have received divine revelations, possess secret knowledge about the universe, or have unlocked the ultimate path to enlightenment. Their personal history is often mythologized, filled with incredible stories of struggle and triumph that position them as a uniquely gifted individual. This creates a powerful hierarchy. The leader is at the top, possessing all the answers, and the followers are below, striving to understand their profound wisdom. Any questions or doubts you might have are not seen as valid points of inquiry. Instead, they are turned back on you as a personal failing. If you don't understand something the leader says, It's not because the teaching is flawed or illogical. It's because you are not yet spiritually or intellectually evolved enough to grasp it. Your doubt is a sign of your own weakness, your ego, or your lack of faith. This is a brilliant and insidious tactic. It completely short-circuits critical thinking. How can you question someone who is, by definition, always right? To question them is to admit your own inadequacy. This dynamic forces you to constantly look inward for fault, rather than outward at the leader's claims. You become your own thought police, suppressing any dissenting ideas before they can even fully form. The leader's authority becomes absolute. They are the sun, and the followers are the planets. This isn't just about respect. It's about worship. And in a world of uncertainty, the appeal of a leader who has all the answers, who can promise you absolute truth, is incredibly powerful. It offers a sense of security and purpose that can feel like the ultimate anchor in a chaotic world. Once the leader's authority is absolute and your emotional loyalty is secured, the next phase is to construct an entirely new reality for you. This is done by creating a meticulously controlled environment, an echo chamber where the only voice you hear is the group's. Information from the outside world is systematically cut off. It's framed as dangerous, corrupt, or misleading. News, books, websites, and even contact with friends and family who are in part of the group are heavily restricted or outright forbidden. They are the world, and the world is lost, asleep, or actively hostile to the group's enlightened path. Inside this bubble, you are constantly immersed in the group's ideology. The same messages, teachings, and phrases are repeated over and over again through lectures, readings, chants, and conversations with other members. This constant repetition does two things. First, it makes the group's worldview feel like common sense. They seep into your subconscious until they feel like your own thoughts. Second, it starves your mind of any alternative perspectives. Without any counter-arguments or different points of view, your ability to think critically about the group's beliefs withers away. You lose your mental reference points. The leader's reality becomes your only reality. Think of it like a linguistic takeover. The group develops its own specialized vocabulary, what some researchers call loaded language. Complex issues are reduced to simple black and white cliches. For example, any form of critical thinking might be dismissed as negative energy or intellectual pride. Doubts are the devil's work, or your ego fighting back. These thought-terminating cliches are mental stop signs. The moment a critical thought arises, you have a pre-packaged label to slap on it, which shuts down the line of inquiry immediately. You don't have to engage with the doubt. You just have to label it and dismiss it. This is incredibly effective at preventing internal dissent. Over time, your mind is rewired to automatically filter reality through the lens of the group's doctrine. The bubble isn't just physical, it's mental. While your mind is being sealed inside this echo chamber, your body and mental defenses are being systematically weakened. This is often achieved through a combination of physical and psychological exhaustion. Sleep deprivation is a common and brutally effective tool. Members are often required to participate in long, late-night sessions, wake up early for rituals, or subsist on just a few hours of sleep per night. We all know how we feel after a poor night's sleep. Our thinking is foggy, our emotions are raw, and our willpower is depleted. Now imagine that state becoming your new normal. Chronic sleep deprivation severely impairs the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for critical thinking, rational judgment, and impulse control. It literally lowers your mental defenses, making you more suggestible and less able to question what you're being told. Your ability to think clearly is compromised. This physical exhaustion is often paired with endless repetitive tasks. These might be chores, menial labor, chanting, meditating for hours on end, or engaging in repetitive rituals. The purpose of these activities isn't just to keep you busy. It's to induce a state of mental fatigue and dissociation. When your mind is occupied with a mindless, repetitive action, it enters a trance-like state. It becomes more open to suggestion, and the endless activity prevents you from having the quiet, reflective time needed to process your experiences or harbor doubts. It's a form of induced mental numbness. Furthermore, diet is often controlled. Low-protein or low-calorie diets can contribute to physical weakness and mental fog, further reducing your capacity for independent thought. The combination of sleep deprivation, constant activity, and dietary control creates a state of perpetual exhaustion. You're too tired to think, too tired to argue, too tired to resist. In this vulnerable state, the leader's suggestions and commands can bypass your critical faculties and sink directly into your subconscious. You become more pliable, more obedient. It's not brainwashing in a mystical sense. It's a deliberate, physiological process of breaking down your cognitive resistance so that a new set of beliefs and behaviors can be installed more easily. With your mind isolated and your defenses lowered, the final pieces of the control mechanism are put in place. This is where the leader ensures long-term compliance by programming your emotions, particularly guilt and fear. Guilt becomes a primary tool for behavioral control. You are taught that your personal desires, your ambitions, your doubts, and even your natural human feelings are selfish, sinful, or evidence of your spiritual failure. Wanting to see your family might be framed as attachment to the material world. Feeling tired might be a lack of devotion. Having a sexual thought could be a sign of deep spiritual corruption. This creates a powerful internal conflict. Your very humanity is turned against you. Every time you feel a normal human impulse that conflicts with the group's ideology, you are flooded with guilt and shame. You believe there is something fundamentally wrong with you. To alleviate this guilt, you must confess your sins to the leader or the group, often in public rituals. This confession serves two purposes. It reinforces the leader's authority as the one who can grant forgiveness, and it provides them with personal information that can be used against you later. This cycle of sin, guilt, confession, and temporary relief creates a powerful dependency. You are constantly striving to be good according to the group's standards, and you are constantly failing because those standards are often inhuman. The leader is the only one who can absolve you, so you cling to them even tighter. Your self-worth becomes entirely external, dependent on their approval. You stop trusting your own feelings and instincts because you've been taught that they are a source of failure and shame. This constant self-monitoring and self-criticism is exhausting, and it keeps you focused inward on your own perceived flaws rather than outward on the flaws of the leader or the system. To complement the internal pressure of guilt, an external threat is manufactured. This is the classic us versus them mentality. The leader paints a picture of the outside world as a dangerous, corrupt, and hostile place. Anyone who is not in the group, including your concerned family and friends, is portrayed as an enemy. They are unenlightened, brainwashed by society, or even actively malicious, sent by some dark force to pull you away from the truth. This creates a siege mentality. The group becomes a safe harbor, a tiny island of light in a vast ocean of darkness. Leaving the group isn't just a choice to go a different way. It's a terrifying leap into a world of peril and damnation. This manufactured fear is incredibly effective at preventing people from leaving. The leader constantly reinforces this worldview with stories of ex-members who left and met terrible fates, or by twisting news from the outside world to fit their apocalyptic narrative. Any criticism from outsiders is held up as proof of their hostility and persecution, which, paradoxically, only strengthens the group's resolve and sense of specialness. They hate us because we have the truth, the leader might say. This phantom threat serves to isolate members even further. It makes you afraid to talk to outsiders, afraid to trust your own family. It makes you huddle closer to the group for safety and protection. The group is no longer just a community. It's your only defense against a scary and threatening world. Your fear of the outside becomes a wall that keeps you locked inside, and the leader holds the only key. Now, imagine you've been in this environment for months or even years. You've given up your career, donated your life savings, and severed ties with your family and friends. You've invested everything you have emotionally, financially, and socially into this group. At this point, even if doubts start to creep in, even if you see cracks in the leader's facade, a powerful psychological trap snaps shut, the sunk cost fallacy. This is our irrational tendency to continue with a course of action, even if it's proving to be a bad one, simply because we've already invested so much in it. To leave would mean admitting that all that time, all that money, all that sacrifice was for nothing. It would mean confronting the painful reality that you were deceived, that you made a terrible mistake. That's a devastating blow to the ego. It's often psychologically easier to double down, to rationalize the problems away, and to convince yourself that you just need more faith, that the promised rewards are just around the corner. You look back at the mountain of sacrifices you've made, the lost relationships, the missed opportunities, the years of your life, and the thought of walking away empty-handed is just too painful to bear. So you stay. You stay because leaving feels like a bigger failure than staying in a situation you know is flawed. You think, I've come this far. I can't turn back now. The group also becomes your entire social world. The friends you've made, the sense of community, the shared identity, it's all you have left. Leaving means facing total social isolation. It means starting over from scratch, often with no money, no support system, and a huge gap in your resume that's difficult to explain. The fear of being completely alone can be more terrifying than the dysfunctions within the group. The sunk cost fallacy, combined with the fear of the outside world and the terror of social isolation, creates a powerful cage. The bars of this cage aren't made of steel, but of your own past investments and your fear of the future. The exit is right there, but turning your back on everything you've poured your life into feels like an impossible choice. So let's recap this process of mental rewiring. It starts with a hook, the love bomb, which fulfills a deep need for belonging and creates intense emotional dependency. Then, the leader is elevated to an infallible, godlike status, making any questioning of them feel like a personal failure. Next, your reality is completely rebuilt inside an echo chamber, cut off from outside information and filled with loaded language that short-circuits critical thought. As this is happening, your mental and physical defenses are worn down through exhaustion, sleep deprivation, and repetitive tasks, making you more suggestible. Finally, the cage is locked. Guilt and shame are used to control your behavior from the inside, while a manufactured fear of a hostile outside world keeps you from leaving. And the immense weight of your sunk costs, the time, money, and relationships you've sacrificed, makes walking away feel like an unbearable failure. These tactics layer on top of each other, creating a comprehensive system of control that can capture even the most intelligent and strong-willed individuals. It's a slow, methodical dismantling of the self. But here is the most important truth. This programming is not permanent. The mind is resilient. Recognizing these patterns of manipulation is the first and most powerful step toward reclaiming your own thoughts and your own life. Understanding how this process works demystifies it. It's not magic. It's a predictable set of psychological techniques. And what can be done can be undone. For anyone who has been affected by a high-control group or knows someone who has, please know that healing is possible. There are resources and communities dedicated to helping people recover and rebuild. If you or someone you know is in crisis or needs support, reaching out to a mental health professional or a cult recovery organization can be a life-changing step. A journey back to self is a process, but it begins with the knowledge that your mind is, and always will be, fundamentally your own. What other manipulation tactics have you seen or experienced, in big or small ways? Sharing our understanding helps us all become more aware. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and if you found this valuable, please subscribe for more insights into the human mind.